Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about the second movie in our superhero event, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which is an action-adventure family film from 1995. This has a 5.2 on 24,205 votes. The spoiler-free synopsis. After a construction crew accidentally cracks open a gigantic egg that has imprisoned evil maniac Ivan Ooze for centuries, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers prepare to face their most formidable foe yet.
So, this is directed by Brian Spicer. He's directed movies like McHale's Navy and For Richer or Poorer. I picked my 3 favorite Rangers to list because there's 6 of them, so I just picked 3 of them. So, I picked Jason David Frank, Amy Jo Johnson, and David Yost, which is the White Green Ranger, Pink Ranger, and Blue Ranger.
Yep. So, the ratings for this. On IMDb, 17.2% of users rated this out of 10. And then the next closest one was 15.2% was at 5. So it's like seriously split.
Jesus.
Most of them are right there in the middle. The 4, 5, 6, 7 is where most of the votes are, and then 10. So, like, the 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, there's, like, hardly any, but then the rest of them is where, like, all the votes are. On Metacritic, this has a 40. Rotten Tomatoes, this has a 37% on 35 critical reviews. So, Too Fresh. TV Guide, the big screen incarnation of the TV kids adventure show that spawned a marketing empire, is no better than it should be, but it's lively enough to fulfill its primary mission. So what they're saying is, it's good, but it's not great.
Pretty much.
Alan Jones. If your children are feeling nostalgic, then this colorful junk will while away a couple of very mindless hours.
Jesus.
It's an hour and a half, so it's not even 2 hours.
Yeah, it's not long.
So then, Too Rotten. Quentin Curtis. The movie can't decide whether it wants to be winningly ramshackle like the TV version or more polished. The result is a mishmash of slick special effects, clunky dialogue, haphazard continuity, and incongruous pilferings. They had to pick all the big words.
Exactly.
Matt Brunson. Paul Freeman, unrecognizable from Raiders of the Lost Ark, has a grand old time seemingly patterning his performance after W.C. Fields, and the cheesy effects are enjoyable in a 70s Saturday morning cartoon kind of way. Otherwise, caveat emptor.
These people are not nice, are they?
Critics don't like kids' movies very much, especially when they're made from TV shows originally.
I can tell. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, they, like, trashed Hocus Pocus, too, so.
That is true.
Consensus. For better or for worse, too often the latter, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, captures the thoroughly strange aesthetic of the television series that inspired it. That's true.
Yeah.
It does capture it. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not very good. But it's okay. So, the money. The budget for this was $15 million. Opening weekend, $13 $38,104,788. Domestically, $38,187,431. Internationally, $28,245,763. For a worldwide total of $66,433,194. That's actually not too bad.
No. Kids.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids. Because, let me look here real quick. What's some other... Toy Story came out in 1995. That probably made... Yeah, that made a lot of money. Like, 130 million more. Jumanji made 40 million more.
Yeah.
I'm looking for kids' movies. A Little Princess didn't make nearly as much. Pocahontas, a little bit over double.
I was just about to say Pocahontas because I love Pocahontas.
Casper made 40 million more. So it didn't do terrible for money, but there's quite a few other 1995 kids movies that came out that year. I mean, it beat a Goofy movie. A Goofy movie made 35 million.
I love a Goofy movie.
I do too. But so it didn't do terrible, but it didn't, like, beat anything else.
Well, I mean, when you compete it with Robin Williams at Disney, what do you expect?
Yeah. So, awards. This was only nominated for one award. It was nominated for a Young Artists Award, Best Young Supporting Actor Feature Films. Steve Cardenas, which, he was the Red Ranger.
Yep. The Red Ranger.
So, initial thoughts.
I don't remember the first time I watched this.
Yeah.
Because it's been a really long time. I grew up watching the Power Rangers TV show. And when the movie, like, I loved the movie when it came out. I did. I was like, yay, Power Rangers, you know, on the big screen. Awesome. I loved it. And then, coming back and watching it again as an adult and much older and really nitpicking movies now, I'm like, oh, I can see why it has a lower rating.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this movie because I'll say it's campy. It is. It reminds me so much of the TV show. Just like the TV show, I will say, is kind of just like, it's made for kids. Okay? It is. There's so many puns and just like little jokes. And like, it's only for like younger people or people that grew up watching the Power Rangers. They're like, oh yeah, that's funny, you know? But I can see why people don't like it. Me, nostalgic, I love it. But it just... The special effects did not age well. This movie is, what? Gonna be 25 years old this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. It shows how old it is.
It
looks its 25-year-old age. But yeah, that's really the only bad thing I have to say about the movie. I love Ivan Ooze. He's one of my favorite villains. Always. He's always been one of my favorites. So. That's me.
I don't remember the first time I watched it either. I do remember watching the show when I was little, and I remember watching the movie when I was little too. But I don't remember really... It wasn't like my favorite. Pokemon was my show. That's what I watched all the time.
I watched Pokemon too.
No, like I would not stop watching Pokemon. I knew the Poke Rap so well. I would not stop watching it. And then I got old enough that my dad started letting me watch horror movies, and I kind of didn't really want to watch the kid stuff anymore. But I do remember watching Power Rangers. I enjoyed it a lot when I was little. I think the Turbo one I liked more, because I remember the Turbo one a lot. And the only thing I really remember from this one is Ivan Ooze. So when I watched it again, I was like, oh my god. Like, this was kind of a shock when I watched it again. I was like, Wow. Yeah, special effects don't hold up very well. Watching it this time around, I thought it was super cheesy. This time around, like, I was actually kind of starting to get bored watching it now. And I guess it's really because, I mean, yes, it's nostalgic, but I don't think that this one was my favorite. I do agree Ivan Ooze is a great villain. I will say that. But that's about...
Love him!
That's really about it for me. Don't really care for this one anymore.
I understand.
Unfortunately. I loved it when I was little. I remember loving it. And the turbo one, I remember the turbo one a lot because I loved their cars.
I think it might have been the car thing.
Yeah.
Because with me, turbo was like, meh, it's okay.
I liked the cars a lot. I remember the cars.
Yeah.
And that's when they had, it was the blue, yellow, pink, red, and green Ranger. They didn't have the black and white Rangers then either. They didn't have them in that one. Even though that one was 1997.
Yeah. I was like, there's a second movie, too, with that also.
Yeah. But yeah. This one just doesn't really hold up for me. Not like the way Hocus Pocus holds up for me. And I think it's
you
really...
could watch Hocus Pocus all the damn time.
Yeah, I could literally sit and watch Hocus Pocus every day and never get tired of it. So I think it's really just a matter of my own personal preferences. And I guess just the amount of action movies I've seen now and the amount of superhero movies I've seen now, I'm just like, this one doesn't even compare to the rest of them. And also the fact that I loved Batman a lot more than Power Rangers growing up. That kind of factors into it too. So that's all I've got for initial thoughts.
All right.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So, I think it's kind of funny that we get the Star Wars credit roll at the beginning
Yes! I love that. I was like, Star Wars.
I never really realized it when I was little. But then watching it again this time, I'm like, they straight up took that from Star Wars.
Yeah. Blatantly.
And basically all that little scrolling thing is doing is telling you so far what's basically happened in the show. Like,
well, it talks about, yeah, pretty much. Gives you a little background story about the Rangers, the Power Rangers and Zordon and Alpha 5.
It's giving them a chance, like, for older kids that can read, the chance to, that they, if they didn't watch Power Rangers and this was their first experience with Power Rangers, they kind of know what's going on a little bit.
Yeah. That's about it. I was like, I know this, I'm good, let's move on.
Yeah.
It's like what I watch Power Rangers all the time. So.
I thought it was funny, the Star Wars thing. But that was like, that's literally what I wrote. Star Wars credit roll.
I just wrote backstory.
So then we see this plane, and we got all the Rangers in there, which you recognize most of them from the TV show.
Except 3 of them.
And then Bulk and Skull are in there too.
Oh my god, Bulk and Skull is the best.
They're funny. They're not really in the movie very much, but they're funny.
It's like, it just like reminds like, hey, they're on the TV show too. So
yeah. And they're getting ready to jump out of the airplane. They're going to go skydiving.
It's a jump-a-thon to help an observatory.
Yep, it's a little festival. Bulk and Skull don't, like, they don't have their parachutes on, and then Kimberly, she's the Pink Ranger, she's like, hey, you might need those.
And they're like, oh, okay.
And then
not the brightest.
All the rest of the all the Rangers jump, and then they're, like, doing their little thing in the air, and, like, half the time, it's the actual, like, you can actually see the people that are playing the Rangers' faces, but then the other half the time is their stunt double skydivers, and I'm just like, wow, this is bad. Because I did notice that.
Well, sometimes it's on like a stage.
Yeah, sometimes it's a sound stage, and then other times it's like
it's
actual skydiving, and I'm just like, oh. But
it's like, if you know the difference, it's pretty easy to tell.
yeah. And then they all end up landing down in the little target thing that they're supposed to land on. And they all land on the bullseye.
Yep.
And there's a little kid there making fun of his dad.
His name is Fred.
Because he didn't land on the bullseye. He's like, this is how you do it, not in the parking lot. Which I thought was kind of funny. And then we see Bulk and Skull. They're still on the plane. And then they finally jump because the pilot's like, okay, you gotta go because we gotta land.
And they finally jump, and of course...
they land in the construction site.
Yeah, of course, the Rangers, this is it. I always thought this was funny. The Rangers always dress in the colors that, they represent, like pink and yellow, and, well, technically Tommy wears the white now, but blue, green, black, and, red, because, he used to be the Green Ranger, but there's a whole episode about that, how... I'm not going to go into it. If you just watch it, you'll see why he's now the White Ranger.
Yeah, I remember him being the Green Ranger and then switching to the White Ranger, and then they get a new Green Ranger, and I'm like, no. I remember that specifically. I was mad about the new Green Ranger because I wanted Billy to be Tommy to be the Green Ranger again because I didn't like his White Ranger suit.
Yeah,
I remember that when I was little.
I was like, I like the Green Ranger better, especially his Zord.
Yeah.
But that's me.
But yeah, they're like skating around town, and then...
yeah, Bulk and Skull do land at the construction site.
Yep. And they're like, the one construction guy is talking to him, and then they like come up with some excuse as to why they're there. And then we see that the construction guys have found something. And they open this great door, and out comes this claw holding an egg.
A purple egg.
Yep.
It's
and
important.
one of the construction workers like tries to touch it. And
of course,
it shocks him.
You get shocked with purple, like this purple like electricity just comes out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why is the first thing you automatically want to do is touch it?
I mean, I would touch it.
Would you want to lick it?
No. I would just touch it. Just touch. I don't have the desire to lick things.
I know people that do.
It's just not really something I want to do. But if I see something and I'm like, ooh, what's that? I'll as long as I don't know, as long as I don't have any idea, like if I think it's something that's gonna be gross, I'm not gonna touch it. But that looks like an egg, so yeah, I'm gonna touch it.
And the Rangers, the rollerblade and everything, they get called back to, by Alpha 5, who's the little robot, to the command center, and, they get there, and, Zordon, he's like their leader, his big old tube and everything, just his face. He says that Ivan Ooze, he talks about Ivan Ooze and all of that, how, before he was put into his egg, his containment thing for years.
Yeah.
Like centuries and centuries. But he's buried, and he says that he's been uncovered and they need to go put it back. He's like, or he's gonna break out, and all hell's gonna break loose if he does that.
Yeah. And so he's like telling him, hey, you need to go deal with that.
Yeah.
So then we see like Rita Repulsa and God, what's the brain dude's name?
Zed. Lord Zed.
That's it.
They show up at the construction site, and there's guards guarding this egg, and they stun him, of course, because Zed has this staff. It's got a Z on it.
Yeah.
And Zed releases Ivan Ooze.
Yep. And then he like makes they're talking to him and being like, we need you to do this for us, please, because we can't do it, basically.
It's like get rid of Zordon for us.
Yeah, because we are not capable, as we've proved through 2 years of a TV show so far.
Well, I mean, they don't want to do the dirty work themselves. That's part of it.
Yeah.
They always send some creature down, and it, like, never works.
Yeah. And then, so, they leave Ivan and, well, we think Ivan and all the bad guys leave, but it ends up Ivan's still there. But the rest of the bad guys leave. And the Rangers teleport to the construction site. And they're talking to the security guard, but then he transforms into Ivan.
Yeah.
And he makes little monster thingies, and I'm just like, okay, those are kind of cool looking.
They are.
That's some good costumes.
There is some.
Yeah. And then so the Ranger, Ivan leaves.
He dips out. He's like, I'm going to leave you guys to deal with this. Have fun. Just like
Yep,
leaves.
so then we get the Rangers fighting little ooze monster things.
First they do it like just like their normal selves and everything. But then, of course, they morph.
Yeah, because there's too many of them.
Yeah. They suit up.
As soon as they morph into the actual Rangers, then all of them are gone. All the monsters, they run off. So they have to go looking for them throughout the construction site. And all the while they're fighting the little monsters, Ivan is getting into the command center. He's oozing in.
With his purple ooze.
Yep. And he ends up destroying the command center, and
Pretty much
leaves Ivan, or not Ivan. Ivan leaves Zordon to die.
Pretty much. Destroys the place, shocks Alpha and all of that.
Yeah. And then, so we see the Rangers continuing to look for the little purple people. And then they find them, and they fight them, and they defeat them. But then they start, losing their power, because, all the while that's going on is when Ivan's destroying the command center. So that's where their power comes from, for their suits and stuff. And so they have to get back to the command center. And they find Zordon there. He's about to die.
He's in his human form.
Yeah.
He's really old, laying on this bed of crystals.
Yeah. And then Alpha tells them about this power to save Zordon. And so the Rangers are gonna go get that.
Gonna go, is it Thanos or something?
Something like that. I don't remember. But then we see Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed talking to Ivan, and Ivan's not very happy. Or no, Rita's not happy.
He's like, you're letting them go get their great power.
Yeah. And so Ivan's like, well, I'm tired of you. I'm gonna just put you in this little snow globe here.
And he does. He puts Zed and Rita in this little snow globe. And he asks the other two that were there.
Isn't it Mordant and Goldart? Is that them?
Yes. Goldart is from the TV show Mordant's Not.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that Mordant is in it. Because I remember later on he comes in either in another movie or later in the show. Because I remember seeing him in more than just this.
Yeah. He just wasn't originally in the show. Goldar was. I would love Goldar because he's hilarious.
Isn't he the dog-looking one?
Well, he's gold.
Pig?
He's got gold wings and...
Yeah, he's the dog-looking one.
I guess. I saw him more as a gorilla.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
I thought of a gorilla.
I just called him the dog guy. But then Ooze makes some little bird guys to send to the same planet that the Rangers are going to fend them off. And that reminded me of the Wizard of Oz.
There we go. The flying monkeys and the Wicked Witch just sending them to get after Dorothy.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the scene, not the movie, and then I was gave up on the scene, and I was I'll just go with the movie, and then I just couldn't think of anything, so.
I got you. I got you there.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of, too, when I saw it. The first time, too. It was Wizard of Oz!
Yeah. Then the Rangers get to the planet, and we see that someone's watching them. And then we hear Ooze talking about taking over the world.
And he says, he's at this factory, and he's like, I'm going to use the parents of Angel Grove, to help get my, my creatures, my type, like, my things I've been building years ago out,
Yeah. And then we see Kimberly. She's pretty sad about Zordon, which is understandable. But Tommy comes and, like, comforts her a little bit. And then the birds attack.
As like, yep, and then they come.
Yep, and they're fighting them. And then this lady shows up.
She's the one that's been watching them.
Yeah,
Dulcia. Yeah.
And she saves them because she's, like, flipping around her little batons and making a funny noise.
It's like a whistling sound.
Yeah. And so the birds fly away, and then Dulcia is, like, trying to get the Rangers to leave, saying that nobody's ever succeeded in getting the power before, so they need to go away. But then they're talking about how they need it to save Zordon, and then, of course, Dulcia knows Zordon, because if she didn't, then this would be pointless. Basically.
Everyone knows Zordon, okay? Let's get it together here.
I just think it's always funny that anytime, like, it's like every movie. Anytime you need something to happen, automatically this person knows that person, so of course they're gonna help. I just always think it's so funny.
It's just convenience?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But she knows Zordon and Ooze, and so she's like, well, you're gonna need this to defeat him, so you might as well go ahead and try. But first I'm gonna tell you how to use Ninjetti. And I always thought that this was, like, the coolest thing when I was little, when they got their ninja suits. I always loved their little ninja costumes.
Yeah, well, that's happening over here on Earth. Ivan's disguised himself and is he's not selling his ooze, he's giving it away to everybody. Yeah. He's like, show your parents and all that, like, really pushing that.
At the amusement park.
Yeah.
Which, this reminded me of the live-action Pinocchio movie. I don't know if you've seen that, but I watched it when I was little. I haven't seen it in a long time. But
that was, like, the 90s, too?
Yeah, it was. I don't remember what it was. Let me look. I know it was in the 90s, but...
I know that one. It's just been a really long time.
I used to watch that one all the time, I remember. So that's why I always, like, when I think about it, this one always reminds me of that one, but I don't know which one's older. It's not just Pinocchio. Oh, The Adventures of Pinocchio from 1996, so that one's a year younger than this one. But it has the same rating. They both have a 5.2.
Yeah, I know that one. I used to watch it
but
a
only
lot.
5,000 people have seen that movie. I remember that movie. But it just reminds me because it's like the amusement park and the guy's like, the bad guy's like taking over and like turning all the boys into little monsters or whatever. Something like that. I don't remember exactly, but just him at the amusement park always reminded me of Pinocchio and like vice versa anytime I watched either of these. Yeah, he's like trying to brainwash all the parents and everything. Alpha is watching the news to see what Ivan is up to.
And there's a commercial. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Ivan made a commercial to give away his ooze. I'm like, well, man's smart.
Which is also a play on Batman from 1989 when Joker does his commercial to sell his cosmetics. Like, there's so many references in this movie to other movies. It's crazy.
Yep. It's great.
Then Dulcia's talking to the Rangers, and she's, like, telling them to connect with their inner animal. Which, so their animals, Aisha is a bear. She's the Yellow Ranger. Rocky gets the ape. He's the Red Ranger. Billy gets the wolf. He's the Blue Ranger. Kimberly gets the crane. She's the pink ranger. Adam gets the frog. He's the black ranger. And then Tommy gets the falcon. He's the white ranger.
Yep.
And Adam's not very happy about his animal.
No, he's like, I got a frog.
I'm like, hey, have you ever heard of a poison dart frog? Because they'll kill you. But I really like their ninja costumes.
Yeah.
I really like
I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah. And then she's like telling them that they need to embrace the ninjetti to be able to get the power. And then she turns into an owl and flies off.
She's like, I can't go further than this. You guys have fun. Bye. Pretty much.
Yeah.
She's like, if I went past this place, I would be like, I would age and then I'd die.
Yeah.
Because she's that old.
Yeah. Then we see the brainwashed parents working at the construction site. And Ivan Ooze is bored, so he's making one of them dance. And the birds get back and say... They say that they defeated the Rangers.
But then they're like, oh, wait, never mind. We did it.
They're like, we almost did. But then this lady came and did this thing with her sticks, and it made a bad noise, so he flew away. And so then Ivan is mad about that, and he's mad about Dulcia helping the Rangers. So he sends the birds off again.
Well, it makes them explode, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They go poof.
Yeah, he, like, tells them to go, but then as they're, like, ready to leave, he blows them up. I forgot about that. So then the Rangers are heading through the forest and heading to get the thing, the, like, power that can save Zordon.
Yep.
And then, what'd you say his name was?
Fred. Yeah.
He finds out that his dad is missing. And so he's, like, looking for his dad. And he finds him at the construction site, so he's standing there listening, kind of hiding. And he hears Ivan's plan. His plan to take over the world and have all the parents kill themselves by jumping off of a cliff after they get done with the construction site. I'm like, that's not very nice.
It's
That's
Ivan
just-
Ooze.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not he's a villain. I mean,
Yeah,
he's not supposed to be nice.
yeah, I know, but still. So then we come with the Rangers. They come across this, like, bone graveyard.
Yes.
And the bones come alive.
Yeah, it's a Triceratops.
Yep. And so they're fighting it. And who was it that got on top? Was it Tommy? He,
yes.
like, pulls the bone out of the neck and the head falls off and the dinosaur falls apart.
Yes, that's exactly it.
And then Ivan is getting ready to command the parents to jump to their death.
He's like, because his creatures are all together. What the hell did he call them?
I don't remember.
Because they're, like, silver and everything, and he gets to fill them with the ooze and all that.
Yeah, they're like the big bug things.
Yeah.
So then the Rangers come across this, like, tomb place that have these big, huge guards that are like statues. And they get close enough, and then the statues start attacking them. So they have to use their ninja forms to defeat them.
Yeah. There's that whole battle sequence there.
Yeah.
I feel like you want to keep it short and sweet to the point.
Yeah, it's just a big battle.
Yeah.
And then they get into the temple, and
this pyramid comes forward.
Yeah, they see the sacred animals, the animals that they were just assigned as the ninjetti. They're ninjetti animals in there, and they find out they have new Zords.
They look just like their new animals.
Yep. Big surprise there.
And, so, like, it's like, they're like these lights, and they're like, they swirl, like, flying around them, and then it goes into, like, their new, like, crest thing on their chest, and it
Yeah.
turns into the new suits.
Yeah. And then, so they are going to head back. And Ooze has his big metal bugs running amok through the city.
Because it's Angel Grove, and there's not a day that goes by there's not some creature trying to tear up the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you should not live there. It's just a bad place to live.
There's a few towns that are in movies that you just really should not live.
Angel Grove's a good example.
Yeah. So the Rangers get back and they call their Zords so that they can fight the big metal bugs.
Yeah.
And so the parents are still heading to the cliff to go jump off. But the kids are all at like this amusement parks thing, having fun. And Fred comes and he's like telling them, hey, we gotta go stop our parents. They're gonna go kill themselves. So we need to kind of not let them do that. And so then they all agree to go stop the parents while the Rangers are fighting the bugs in their Zords. And then you get this big, huge battle sequence between the Rangers and the two bugs. And then it's starting to look like the bugs are going to lose. So Ivan decides he's going to take over one of them and fight in it.
Well, one gets destroyed, but
yeah.
they are also, during that whole entire battle sequence, the monorail track gets knocked out, part of it. And so Tommy, being, of course, the hero Tommy, uses his new Zord and puts it like there so that, because the kids are on the monorail.
Yeah.
And so the monorail just glides over top the new Zord, and then they're fine.
Yeah. And so, Ivan then takes over the bug that's left. And then, because they have to fight Ivan Ooze in a Zord, or in the bug, they decide they need to make their Megazord.
Megazord!
And they're going to take the fight up to space.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
They fly into space and everything, and, while that's going on, of course, the kids are blocking the parents' path from, like, going off the cliff.
Yeah.
And, Fred sees that there's, like, this crane and there's a water tank down there. And so Bulk and Skull are with them. And he's like, you guys help me with this? And everything.
Yeah.
And so he uses the spray, like the water, to push the parents back.
Yep.
But of course, backing up in space and everything, Billy, being the smart guy he is, suggests using a comet.
Yep.
That's going to be coming around to knock out Ooze.
Yeah, so they have to get they have to get Ivan into the path of the comet and get away before the comet hits them so that they don't explode too. And it's like edge of your seat, last moment thing.
I love how they get away too. That cracked me up. It still cracks me up every time I see it. Because it says for emergency use only, and they push it, and the Megazord knees Ivan Ooze in the balls, and it's hilarious. Yeah. I'm like, that's funny.
Yeah. So then Ivan gets hit by the comet, and so the parents are no longer brainwashed. The Rangers go back to Zordon, back to the command center, and they think they're too late to save him because they think he's dead. But then they're like, oh, let's use our new powers to save him. And they do, and he lives. And then there's this big, huge after-party celebration thing, and Fred is super excited because he wants to be a Power Ranger too. And Tommy's like, well, maybe you can be.
He's like, you're in line for it, certainly.
Yeah. And then
fireworks.
Yep, fireworks, and then the credits roll, and then a couple minutes into the credits, we get the Mordant and Goldar are in their like little lair thing, and Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa end up getting out of the snow globe.
Yeah, and Goldar's sitting on Zed's throne and everything. You know, he's like, oh, I'm the new big bad guy. And then Zed shows up. He's like, well, shit.
Yeah. And that's the end of that.
Like, that's the end of the movie.
Yep. So, the music is by Grammy Revel. He is known for The Saint from 1997, The Crow from 1994, Lara Croft Tomb Raider from 2001, and Dead Calm from 1989. So he's known for some darker things than Power Rangers. But he does do the music for Power Rangers. The very first thing he ever worked on was Escape World Safari 3. I don't know what that is, but sounds not interesting at all. And he's not really working on anything right now. But I will say the music definitely played up the movie a little bit. It's definitely had that Power Rangers feel to it.
Oh,
it
yeah.
reminded me of the TV show for sure. So, like we've been talking, there is the show. There's actually quite a few shows. Power Ranger shows.
Yeah.
The original one is the same name, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's ran from 1993 to 1999.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just kind of the Power Rangers going at it against Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed and stuff. They're just always fighting somebody.
Always. There's always a creature. They
Yep.
think it's doing good. You know, you get the potties. There's these guys they have to defeat first. Then they defeat the creature. And the creature gets big, so they have to get the Zords out. And then make the Megazord. But then, they defeat it, and then they're good. Of course, they're all teenagers. You know, they go to high school and everything and all that.
Yeah. And then there's some other shows. There's Power Rangers in Space. That ran for a couple of seasons. 98 to 99. Power Rangers Zeo, which ran from 96 to 97. Power Rangers Turbo, which sparked the second movie, Power Rangers Turbo Supercharged, I think is what the movie's... Or no, just Turbo Power Rangers
Turbo.
movie. I thought it was Supercharged, but it's not. But the Power Rangers Turbo show ran from 97 to 98. I remember that one a lot because I liked their weapons that they had in that one. They're like swords and stuff.
Yeah, it was a little different.
Yeah. And then Power Rangers Wild Force, which I never watched. 2002 to 2003. And then there is, of course, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie that came on in 1997, which is... I don't remember if it came on before or after the show. I think it sparked the Power Rangers Turbo show. But there's lots of Power Ranger shows. There's even more than that.
Yeah.
And there's even some that are pretty recent, too. Like the most recent Power Ranger show ended in 2016. That was Dino Charge. I
knew about that one.
Yeah, I knew about that one, too, because they had their weapons and different dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Because I liked the dino. I never watched it, but they just kind of kept going with the Power Rangers because it was doing really well. But the one that ran the longest was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Hell yeah. I was like, it had video games and everything, which I used to play all the time.
Lots of things. The second movie is the Turbo Power Rangers movie. I don't remember much of that one because I haven't seen it in a long time. All I remember is their cars, and they didn't have the black and white Rangers. It was back to the Green Ranger instead of having the black and white one.
Yeah. I
remembered that. And then there was a remake.
You go at that one.
I don't remember it very well. I did see it, and it's not terrible.
And I remember you kept trying to tell me, just go watch it. I'm like, no.
Don't remember much of it. They hinted at the White Ranger, because they didn't have the White Ranger. I thought it was cool because they included one of the Rangers had autism, so I thought it was cool that they were kind of broadening that and bringing that in, because, like, making it, because a lot of people think autism is, like, this terrible thing and people can't do anything if they have autism, and I'm just like, no, that's completely wrong.
There's a whole spectrum of it.
Yeah, like, my cousin has autism and he's over there making movies, so it's one of those things. I thought it was really cool that they included that. They're being a little bit more inclusive with it. The story was very cheesy, like a normal Power Rangers story. The only thing I really vividly remember is how much the Pink Ranger looked like this Pink Ranger. Like, I was so convinced that this was her daughter.
Really?
And it's not. I was just, like, she looked so much like her, I was like, it's gotta be her daughter. But it's not. She just looks like her. I mean, it's not terrible if you're like trying to introduce your kids to Power Rangers and you want to introduce them to that. I don't see why not. But I mean, it's not the original Power Rangers. But I also wasn't as into Power Rangers as you were, so.
Oh yeah, I was a huge fan. Huge fan.
I mean, I watched it when I was little. I remember watching it. I
love Power Rangers. I used to play it at school. I'm like, okay, let's play Power Rangers. It did. And then with my cousins and my brothers, I did it. Yeah. It's like fun times.
That's all. I can't really remember. I've only seen it once. Okay. It wasn't terrible, though. So, trivia?
So, there's a few I like to talk about. So, like I kept saying, there's 3 different Rangers that are not in the TV show that are in the movie. The Black, Red, and Yellow Ranger. Those are not the original ones.
Yeah.
And why the original ones were not in this movie is because they were having contract disputes.
That's usually it.
It's usually why. I'm like, oh, that would have been awesome to see all the original 6. That would have been great, but I see why. Of course, all of them are still alive except one. The Yellow Ranger, of course. The original Yellow Ranger passed away in a car accident years ago, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She did. Pretty tragic one, too. The Ranger suits, I would say that when they're, so they're Ranger, they're stunt actors, of course, wearing the Ranger suits when they're doing all their stunts and all that. And then there's when they had to take their helmets off, they actually wore them too. So the suits were 40 pounds each. I'm like, oh my god, that's pretty painful. That is.
Yeah.
What else? So our Ivan Ooze, to get all of his body purple and all that in his tongue. I thought this was funny. He drank black currant juice before each take and spit it out so you have his tongue purple. I'm like, that's some dedication there.
Yeah.
That is. Oh, what else? It took him 7 hours in makeup to get his entire Ivan Ooze outfit on.
That's not terrible. I've seen some that take way longer than that.
It's still a long time to be sitting in a chair for 7 hours. I'll say that. I never realized this, but it makes sense. So the woman who plays Alpha 5, she can't see or hear anything or breathe when she's got the helmet on, so she has to have an airline running inside of her helmet so she can breathe. Wow, that is crazy. Oh, one more. Oh, but I don't know if you have it in your trivia, your podcast trivia or not, about the Black Ranger, but we've had him before.
No, because I've only been doing the actors if they're in the list. I don't put them from the events.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say it. The Black Ranger in this movie, actor name is Johnny Yong Bosch, and we had him in Akira.
Oh, okay.
He was the main voice for it, the lead.
Oh, for the English dubbed one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have him because the actors I put in there for Akira were the Japanese ones.
Yeah, that's fine, but he was the dubbed version.
Gotcha.
So I thought I mentioned that.
Okay. So, favorite line?
Oh, okay. Let me look. What is that? Odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
Yeah, I had that one.
Welcome to my nightmare. This is Bulk and Skull. Hungry? Always. Finally someone shut her up. That's Zed talking about Rita.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's true. You think she's cute too, huh? And that's Goldar talking about Kimberly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, go get him, Booger Man.
Yeah.
Goldar's got some good ones, I'll say.
Yeah.
But those are mine.
Woo, where's my autograph book? Ha, Power Rangers, huh? So Zordon's still using a bunch of kids to do his dirty work. Well, meet my kids. And then he brings up his little, thing. Oh, the things that I have missed. The Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion. And then the last one I had, yeah, Zords, Smords, I'll crush them like roaches. Because you took some of the other ones I had.
Oh.
So this is your movie.
I was thinking about this today. I was like, which one do I want to pick? And it's just because it's just so true. I just could not pick this one. What is that odious stench? Smells like teenagers.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, that is so true.
Yeah. So what is your rating?
Just for nostalgic purposes, I cannot go anything lower than a 7. And I had to bump down points because of how bad the CGI was.
Yeah.
Like, I even wrote in my note at the very end, CGI did not age well at all.
Yeah.
That's part of why it's there. Yeah, and just, I can't have it any lower than that because I love the Power Rangers. So, this is my movie, and if I rate it low, it's a bad thing. So yeah, it's a 7 for me.
Okay.
You can rate it any lower you want, I don't care.
Mine's not too much lower. I'm just doing a 6. A lot of the same things. It's nostalgic, and I watched it a lot when I was growing up, but watching it now, it doesn't really interest me anymore. It's very cheesy. And yes, it's cheesy campy, but it's just a little bit too much, I think, for me. And then the CGI is pretty bad, especially in the end in space. That was pretty bad. I do like a lot of the references to other movies.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot.
That was good.
And I like how they kind of kept with the style of the TV show, how they kept true to that, at least. So, but yeah, it's a 6 for me. I think it just did not age well at all, unfortunately. No. So, our next film in our superhero event is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and that will be up in just a few minutes. So, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.